Hi there, Sandra here from the Schwalben's Nest. Welcome to my Christmas series. If you watch my channel, you know I love working with wood, so this first project is going to be using the tumbling tower blocks from the Dollar Tree. These are the small size. If you can't find them in your store in stock, check out dollartree.com. I checked on it this morning, and the US site allows you to purchase 3 of these and get them shipped to your store. They are the 72-piece sets, so that's a great buy for a dollar. I'm going to use my miter shears and I'm going to cut some angles into them so I can put them together as you see here. I'm going to do 4 or 5 of them in one size, and then I'm going to shorten the last 2 a little bit more just to make the tree look a little bit more realistic. Using one more block, I'm going to cut an angle sort of like an arrow shape at the top of it so it can fit down at the bottom of the tree and serve as a tree trunk. I'm just going to use hot glue to put these blocks together. That's going to serve 2 purposes. Number one, it's going to, of course, stick them together, but it's also going to camouflage any little imperfections in the cuts that I made with the miter shears. Once those pieces are together, then I'm going to start gluing each of the pieces together to form a Christmas tree. Once I'm done with the tree itself, then I'll add the little stump down at the bottom. I grabbed a pack of these wooden cutout stars from the Dollar Tree, and I'm using gel stain to stain the front and the back of it. I also am going to use this gel stain on the stump of the tree, which I painted with a couple of coats of my DIY chalk paint in white. Now I'm going to give it a little bit of distressing. I'm using a tiny little chip brush and some black chalk paint, and I'm just going around the edges. You've seen me do this a bunch of times if you are following me on my channel. This is my favorite way of distressing, is just to pull the brush in from the edges and get sort of a feathery look. I'm also going to take the brush across the branches in the front and the back just to give it more of a rustic look. I'm going to keep this tree a little neutral and rustic, so I decided to add these tiny little pine cones to the end of each of the branches. I get these from my cottage. They're little hemlock cones, so if you ever see a hemlock tree, make sure you look on the ground underneath it. You're definitely going to find a bunch of these little guys. Next, I'm going to just hot glue the star to the top of the tree, and then I'll add a twine hanger to the back of it, just gluing it down in a loop. I'd like to take a quick second and welcome everyone here to my video. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, I would love for you to. My next project is working with the medium-sized tumbling tower blocks. I've picked these up at Walmart before, and I've also grabbed them from my Dollarama store, which is a local dollar store here in Canada. And now I'm just going to be gluing 3 of them together to form the base of my lantern. I'm going to be doing this twice because I need a base and I need a top. I'm going to use the same size blocks to create the posts for my lantern. I'll glue them in the same direction in all 4 corners. The next step is just to glue the top on, which is the other 3 pieces of blocks that were glued together. Again, just using some hot glue and making sure that it's even on all sides. To add a little bit of interest, I'm going to glue this bead to the top of the lantern right in the center. To make the hanger for the bead, I just folded a piece of twine in half. I taped the bottom together just with some Scotch tape to make it easier to insert them into the bead, just adding some hot glue to secure it in place. Now I'm going to paint it white. I'm just going to give it a couple of coats. It doesn't have to cover it completely. It doesn't matter if there's a little bit of the wood showing through. That just gives it more of a rustic look anyway. I am going to leave the bead its natural color. I just wanted a little bit more contrast. I'm going to do the same distressing technique that I did on the Christmas tree. I'm going to start at the edges and just flick my brush inwards, and then I'll just go through the blocks themselves and give them more of a brushed distressed look too. I'm taking this little wooden dowel. It's a 1/2 inch and it came from a block set from Dollarama. And I just taking my miter shears and cutting it on an angle in half. This is going to create a little mini candle. Now I'm going to also then take some hot glue, put a bunch of hot glue on the top of the candle, and also then add some drips down the side to make it look realistic. To create the drippy wax look, I'm starting at the bottom of the drip and working my way up because that will make the bottom portion of it a little bit thicker. And that's usually what happens with wax. When it drips down, then it starts to cool, and the bottom part of the drip is usually a little ball or it's just a little chunkier than the rest of it. I took a tiny little piece of wire and stuck it in the center of the candle to make it look like there was a wick in it. I used hot glue to attach it to the center of the lantern. Using 4 little bits of pine greenery, I'm just going to glue them in on an angle in each of the 4 slots that you can get into. So that would be basically making a circle right around the base of the candle. As always, be very careful when you're using hot glue and your fingers. You should not be sticking your fingers into the glue as I'm doing here because I did burn myself just a little bit, not too bad, but it's always good to use some kind of metal or plastic utensil to hold the glue down until it sets. I like layering different types of greens together. It makes it look more professional and high end. So I'm just grabbing some little holly leaves and I'm going to glue them right on top of each of the pine branches. I decided to add a little pop of red to the lantern, so I'm trimming off these holly beads from their picks. And I'm just going to add a little bit of hot glue, and then I'm going to need to use a pair of tweezers to get them in because I can't grip the berry and get my fingers in that lantern at the same time. I got these tweezers from a sweet viewer named Denise. Thank you so much, Denise. These really are coming in handy. I'm adding 3 more holly leaves and berries to the top of the lantern, and this little guy is complete. I've got a few different types of raw wood beads on my skewer stick here, and I'm just going to give them one coat of my gel stain in walnut. I'm staining another one of those little wood cutout stars from the Dollar Tree with the same walnut stain. To attach the star to the first bead, I'm using some hot glue and then pushing the point of the star right inside the hole of the bead. I'm going to use some of these red beads that came off of a thrifted garland, and I'm just going to continue hot gluing everything together. To create the hanger for this ornament, I'm using some hot glue inside the hole of the last bead, and I just doubled up a piece of jute twine into a loop, put some scotch tape on the end of it so it would be easier to feed into the bead, and it works out perfectly. I'm going to add 3 of the holly leaves just to the top of the bead. I'm going to add some of this black and red gingham ribbon that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. I just fold it together to make a loop and then I kind of squish it together so it has a little bit of a gather on it. And then I'm going to make 2 of them and just glue them on top of the holly leaves. I really stink at making tiny little bows. So I have seen a method that uses your thumb and your forefinger. I'm going to check that
I
out,
hope you
and
enjoyed these
hopefully in
wood
my next
ornament
video, when I
DIYs and
use
got
a
some
small little
inspiration
bow,
to
I will
create
be
some
able
of
to
your
do it
own.
properly and
If you
teach you
like
how
this
to do
video,
it too.
please give me a thumbs up. That tells YouTube that you do like it and they promote me more, which helps my channel grow. Don't forget to hit that notification bell too, because I've got so much Christmas stuff in store for you in the next few weeks. You're not going to want to miss out. Thank you so much for watching
These
straight
next
to
two
the end.
projects are
I
very
truly
similar, so
appreciate
I've
each
grouped
and
them
every
into
one of you.
one
Have a
DIY.
wonderful
I
day.
have the
Hi
mini
there.
tumbling tower
Welcome to the
blocks from
Schwabens
the
Nest.
Dollar
My
Tree,
name is
and I've
Sandra.
got them glued together in a set
Hi
of
there.
8,
Welcome to
so
the
2
Schwabens
sets of
Nest.
4 glued
My name is
together.
Sandra.
I'm going
I'm
to
so
give
glad
this
you're
one
here.
a coat of
Hi
this
there.
sort of
Sandra here from the
dark
Schwabens
mossy
Nest.
green
I'm
color.
so glad
This
you're
is just
here.
an acrylic paint that I
Hi
added a
there.
little bit of
Sandra here
talc
from the
to give it
Schwabens Nest.
more of
Welcome to
an
my Christmas
opaque look,
series.
so it can cover just like chalk paint. And I'm going to do the other one in white. I found these adorable napkins at my local grocery store, so I picked up a pack. I think there were 20 or 40 of them for $3, so a pretty good deal. I'm going to be cutting this out a little bit larger than the little plaque that I made with the Dollar Tree signs, and I'm going to be working with the white one first. These napkins are only 2-ply, so I'm just going to pull off the one piece on the back. Then I'm going to use a glue stick to apply it to the little wooden plaque. I find that the glue stick for these napkins works really well. It actually works better than Mod Podge because you don't get so many wrinkles. I'm just going to press it down until it has a chance to dry, and then I'm going to work on the sides. Using the glue stick again, just run it along the edge of the wood and then press up your napkin. I'm going to do this to all 4 sides. Using a small pair of detailing scissors, I'm just going to trim the corner and then start trimming the paper all the way around. I'm leaving a little bit because I want to be able to use some sandpaper and sand the rest of the napkin down to get a nice clean edge. This sandpaper came in a pack from the Dollar Tree. It's just really fine sandpaper, and I'm being very gentle when I use it. I'm pulling in from the edge, as you can see me doing here, to make sure that I don't pull anything off from the front. I did the same thing for the green plaque, but the difference here is I'm pulling some of the paper to the front. So I covered the back and the sides, and now I'm just going to tear a little bit of the paper because I want this to create a little frame on the top side of this plaque. And I just used the glue stick again just to put it on the napkin and glue that down. I also added little bits of napkin where I had torn a little bit too much, just to make it look a little bit more even. I want to put the word Mary on the green portion of this one, so that's why I'm doing a little bit of a frame with it. I'm just going to cut that out using some red permanent vinyl on my Cricut machine and then place it on the sign. For the hangers on both of these little wood ornaments, I just took a little piece of the Dollar Tree pine garland. I trimmed it down so the strands wouldn't be quite so long. And then I'm just going to make a loop out of it and hot glue it right to the top of the ornament. Then I added 3 little leaves of holly, just kind of on an angle, and then 3 little berries. And both of these signs turned out super cute, and they were so easy to do. My last project for you today is using these beads again. These raw wood beads are from the Dollar Tree's garland, and the red beads are again from the thrifted one. So I've just got a piece of wire and I'm threading them on in alternating colors. Once all the beads are on, I'm going to twist it into a circle shape and then just twist the wire at the top so that it stays nice and snug. I'm going to use all the beads naturally this time, so I'm going to leave the star the same color. I'm just putting some glue onto the tip of one of the points of the star, and I'm going to glue it onto the top two beads. I cut down the wires so there was only a half an inch left, and now I'm going to use some hot glue and just glue on a loop of twine for the hanger. I really like how this one turned out. It's just simple and rustic, but looks so pretty. I hope you enjoyed these wood ornament DIYs and got some inspiration to create some of your own. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. That tells YouTube that you do like it and they promote me more, which helps my channel grow. Don't forget to hit that notification bell too, because I've got so much Christmas stuff in store for you in the next few weeks. You're not going to want to miss out. Thank you so much for watching straight to the end. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. Have a wonderful day.